Five journalists among 20 killed in Israeli double strike on a hospital. What's up? How y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about five journalists have been killed among 20 killed in an Israeli double strike on a hospital. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that support Trump and I support Trump, not to get me wrong, but that support the Republicans and support the Israel and all this stuff. But I think this Netanyahu guy, I think he needs to be replaced. Is it a complete genocide? Well, I don't know about that, but I know that he's doing some pretty nonsense stuff, and I think he needs to be investigated for some war crimes because, and as I'm reading on, you'll kind of see, I've got an article, it's from the BBC, but as we're reading on, we'll kind of see why I think, just the title, five journalists killed in a hospital, in a double attack on a hospital. So that's even worse. So it's like, like I said, a lot of the hate or the left, they hate Israel. They're against Israel. And the right, they're all for Israel. And, there's some, and like I said, I agree with Trump and the Republicans more, but I don't totally agree with everything they're doing. And we're allowed to be that way. I'm not like just Trump and that's it. Trump worship, and all that. I think for myself, I agree with a lot. He's done a lot of good, but he's also done a lot of not so good. I thought there was supposed to be a peace deal over there. I thought there was supposed to be a ceasefire. And he kind of he was supposed to be working on that, but he's worrying too much about Ukraine, which we shouldn't even be involved with anyway. But another story for a different time. But at least 20 people, including 5 journalists working for the international media, have been killed in an Israeli double strike on Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza, the territory's Hamas-run health ministry says. Now, I don't know. This is coming from the BBC, but, it's hard to know who to believe. Because I don't technically trust or believe Hamas either. They could be making it up too. And so could Israel. I'm not saying that I'm not leaning either total direction either. I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this and find out what's really going on. And I don't care. Like I said with the Epstein, and like I said with everything, I don't care who's involved in it. It needs to stop. If Trump's involved in it, he needs to be held accountable. If the Republicans support this, I don't know if they're technically involved in it, but I know they support Israel, and they're just basically bowing down to Netanyahu, and it's like Netanyahu runs the world, and everybody else just listens to him. All these other countries, they just listen to what he has to say. And taking out a hospital where journalists are there. He's taking out journalists, and this isn't the first time that journalists have been taken out. Like he's trying to hide the story, hide journalism that's actually in there getting footage, and they're being killed. The journalists had worked with Reuters, however you pronounce that, AP, Al Jazeera, and the Middle East Eye, the news outlets confirmed. Four health workers were also killed, the World Health Organization's chief said. Footage of the attack shows a second strike hitting rescuers who had arrived to help those targeted by the initial attack. They attack it, people come in to help, and they attack it again. Seriously, that's war crimes. You should be held accountable for that. Whatever that means to you, that you should be held accountable for that. And if that's Israel, he needs to be held accountable for that. I'm not I'm not bowing down to anybody. I'm just saying it like I see it. Whoever's involved in that, whoever's in charge of that, needs to be held accountable. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the incident a tragic mishap. A tragic mishap. So basically, you're just saying it was an accident. Oh, it was an accident. It was a mishap. Just an accident. We just accidentally threw 2 bombs at a hospital. Sorry about that. And said military authorities were conducting a thorough investigation. A thorough investigation into who? You? You're having them run an investigation onto you, Mr. Netanyahu? The latest death brings the number of journalists killed in the Gaza since the start of the war there in October 2023 to nearly 200. 200 journalists have been killed. And they have pictures of it here. I don't know if I'll get them on, but they have pictures where they have press on their shirt. So they know it's the press. They know, and 200 of them. They're trying to kill the story. They're trying to kill the evidence. The people with cameras taking pictures of it. They're do away so we don't so this doesn't get out. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, the CPJ, a leading body which promotes press freedom, the war in Gaza has been the deadliest conflict for journalists ever documented. It says it says press members have been killed there in the past 2 years. It says more press members, sorry about that, have been killed there in the past 2 years than were killed worldwide the past 3 years. They're targeting journalists. So if you're a journalist, you might want to think twice about going down to Gaza. Just saying. I mean, we need the story. We need the scoop. And I encourage the journalists to go get this story, because that's the only way we're going to find out the truth, is if we can get some journalists down there, some independent journalists down there to actually get us some actual footage. But just know they're targeting you. 200 journalists have been killed in the last 2 years. They're trying to hide something. They're trying to hide the truth. International journalists have been banned by Israel from entering the Gaza Strip independently since the start of the war. That doesn't throw a red flag right there? International journalists have been banned by Israel from entering the Gaza Strip independently since the start of the war, because they don't want the truth getting out. They don't want people to know what's really going on down there. And I know a lot of you call it a genocide. I don't know that yet, but they're doing some pretty sketchy stuff. That's all. They're taking out the journalists, and they're taking out hospitals, and they are hitting civilian areas. And I think he needs to be held accountable for war crimes, because you're not supposed. Yeah, I mean, there are rules of war. I mean, there are. It's not everything goes. It's not. It's, war is. There are still rules you have to follow, and bombing hospitals and journalists is not one of those rules. That's a rule you're not supposed to do. Some journalists have been taken into Gaza by Israel Defense Forces under controlled access, but international media outlets rely on local reporters for much of their coverage in Gaza. See, they're like, you can go here, but you got to stay here. Don't worry about what's going on over here. You guys report on what's going on right here. Not a good look for you there, buddy. Not a good look for you. A video from the scene of Monday's attack shows a doctor standing at the entrance of the hospital, the main one in southern Gaza, holding up bloodied clothes to show journalists following the first strike. Suddenly, there's a blast, sending people running over running for cover as glass shatters. A man injured by the blast is seen trying to drag himself to safety. Another graphic video captured on live stream by Al Gahad TV shows several emergency workers responding to the first strike near the top floor of Nasser Hospital as a number of journalists in the background capture the scene. A staircase where journalists often gather to get views across Khan Yunis is visible in the footage. A strike then directly hits the emergency workers and journalists, sending smoke and rubble in the air. At least one body is visible in the aftermath. Reuters news agency said cameraman Hassam al-Mazari was among those killed. He had been operating a live TV feed on the roof, and it shut down at the instant of the initial strike. Katam Khaled, another contractor also working for Reuters as a photographer, was injured in the second strike, according to witnesses. The agency said it was devastated by urgently seeking more information. Yeah, they're urgently seeking more information, but they're killing all the journalists. So where are they going to get their information from? They're just going to take Netanyahu's word for it and take the Gaza, the Hamas leadership's word for it. I don't know which one's involved. I don't know what. I mean, Netanyahu kind of admitted to this when he says it was a tragic mishap. Well, a mishap doesn't happen 2 shots in one building. You know, it doesn't take one out and then they're trying to scramble to, and then all of a sudden another one comes. That's not a mishap. That's intentional. And you need to be held accountable for it. But unfortunately, Trump and the Republican Party, they worship him and they're not going to do anything about it. It's unfortunate. You know, I mean, like I said, I support Trump. I support him in most of what he does, but not everything. And this is one that I am against. And same with the Israel. He needs to just lay off Israel. They don't want the war to end over there. Israel or Ukraine doesn't want the war to end. And neither does Israel. They just want to keep going until there's nothing left. No Gaza left. I mean, people and all. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about civilians. He doesn't care about who he's bombing. He just throw bombs out. I don't care who dies. Which is not right. The killed and injured were everywhere, she said. This was coming from somebody. This is a couple paragraphs down, adding that the scene was unbearable. There has been swift condemnation of the strike. These latest horrific killings highlight the extreme risk that medical personnel and journalists face as they carry out their vital work amid this brutal conflict. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said. Yeah, I agree. Now you need to do something about it, UN Secretary General. I mean, it seems like you're afraid to hold Netanyahu responsible for anything. He's not. He demanded a prompt and impartial investigation in addition to an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Until you actually do something about it, that's not going to happen. Just an investigation and an immediate ceasefire is not going to happen unless you actually do your investigation the correct way. And don't just go where Netanyahu tells you to investigate. Go investigate him. He needs to be investigated for this because it wasn't. It smells like an intentional attack on civilians and all that. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy said he was horrified by the deadly strike, which French President Emmanuel Macron called intolerable. Monday's attack comes 2 weeks after 6 journalists including 4 from Al Jazeera, were killed in an Israeli targeted attack in Gaza City. The ministry said the dead included 28 people who were killed while trying to access food. That must have been the last one. Yeah, Monday's attack. The war was triggered by the Hamas-led attack on Israel on October 7th, in which about 1,200 people were killed and 250 others taken to Gaza as hostages. Israel responded with a massive military offense which has killed more than 62,744 Palestinians, according to figures from the health ministry, which the UN considers reliable. And see, that's just it. I don't trust either one of them. Gaza in one attack, killed 1,200 people. Killed about 1,200 people. So I don't trust either one of them. I mean, they could both be lying. I don't trust either one of them. They just need to be, both sides need to be held accountable because neither one of them are right. Obviously Gaza started it, or Hamas started it. A Hamas-led attack started it. And I can see why Israel's mad and they're coming back at him, but you got to do it the right way. You can't kill innocent people. You can't kill civilians. That's not how war works. But anyway, that's the video for today. And there's other articles about this that I could go into, but I don't want to get too long of a video. It's just kind of says a lot of the same thing, but yeah, they're both sides. And it's just like Russia, Ukraine. Neither one of them want to end the war. They both aren't going to give in. They're both on the bad. We shouldn't be helping either one of them. We shouldn't be helping Israel. I don't even know why. I mean, I know why, because we're technically an ally, but Netanyahu needs to be replaced. Not saying anything bad, just he needs to be replaced. He needs to be booted out of office and somebody else needs to come in. They just think that the Bible protects them or something, or I don't know, but whatever it is, but they can't be doing that. They need to be held responsible for their war crimes, because and it's been happening a lot. And you hear those on the left always, well, what do you think about the genocide because I support Trump, they think I support this, and I don't support this. This is not. And I'm pretty sure Trump doesn't support the killing of innocent people. I know him and Netanyahu are buddies. I get that. They're buddies like Biden was with Zelensky, and that's why we're in that war. And this war, we're just in it because we kind of have to be, because we're NATO, they're NATO, and so we have to back them up. But I think there comes a time when you need to take it out. Even if they are your allies, you need to hold them accountable for their criminal acts, because they're not all good. Just because they're an ally of ours doesn't make them good people. Just because they're part of NATO doesn't mean they're good people. That just means they can get away with doing whatever the heck they want to, because they know they can't be held accountable because they're NATO. You can't get me back because I'm NATO, and if you attack me, you're going to get attacked by all of them. So they think they can just get away with it, and it's not right. They need to put an end to it. Anyway, starting to ramble. That's the video. Do the YouTube stuff if you wouldn't mind. I've got links down below to my store, to other channels, and whatever. If nothing else, just hit the subscribe button. Do me a favor. We're pushing for that 8,000 this year, and getting close, but still got a ways to go. But anyway, appreciate y'all. Love you. See you in the next one.